Hi, this is Lucy, your clarity coach, and this is Tuesday Talks at 3. Welcome to episode 3 of the Emotional Intelligence Mastery series. Emotional intelligence, EQ or EI, plays a vital role in both our personal and professional spheres. So it's very important that we understand the ins and the outs of EQ. Well, this series explores 4 specific areas to help you in understanding emotional intelligence. And like I've said, it's either known as the acronym EQ or EI. So how does it impact your life? The 4 series, as I've talked about, are the ones that are going to help you in that understanding. And the first one that we covered was the art of self-regulation. And the takeaways there were absolutely powerful. And thank you so much for sharing your feedback with me on emotional intelligence and the art of regulation. This was a suggestion that you need to have an understanding, even if not a total one, but at least an understanding of who you are. So in layman's language, it's you knowing what your strengths are and what your weaknesses are. Perhaps we could add in there what your successes are and what your learnings are. Many people would refer to this as your failures in life. I like to look at them as your lessons. You tried out something, it did not work. It failed, but that doesn't make you a failure. It just gives you lessons so that next time you're able to get up and show up and show out. So in the art of regulation, we looked at recognizing your emotions, seeing them as they presented themselves. And one way to keep track that I recommended was journaling. Journaling by saying, this time, for instance, now it is 5 minutes past 3. This is the emotion that I'm experiencing, and this is a situation that I'm in or I am experiencing. For you could be talking to somebody, for you could be working out on something, you could be driving, you could be walking, whatever it is. It's you journaling the time, the emotion, and the scenario of this emotion. So that by the time you come back and you look at this list, you suddenly will see a pattern that in certain specific situations, this is how you react, not respond. This is how you have been reacting. The end game is for us to learn how to respond, hence the regulation. Because once you understand the pattern, once you're able to see it, you can do something about something that you're looking at. So when you look at this piece of paper or your phone where you have journaled or your notebook, you are able to realize your emotional patterns. And now you are self-aware. For you to regulate, there needs to be some form of self-awareness. So now you're regulating those emotions. Sort of like you can turn it on and off like a switch. That is when you've really perfected the art. It is said that the most dangerous person is the one who can hold back their emotions. Hopefully they're holding back their emotions because they are choosing to respond in a specific way to the betterment of themselves and of the world, and not the opposite, where they may be using some terrible or horrible ways to hit back. So the first one was recognizing your emotion. The other one was cultivating your mindfulness. Now that you know, what are you going to do with this information? What it just means that, in a very simplistic way for the sake of this session, is that if you woke up and you just had this foreboding feeling, like you felt like today was going to be a horrible day. At times you wake up and you just feel that you feel the weight on your shoulders of the world, or maybe something happened before you went to sleep and it's going to be a continuity of that emotion that you are experiencing. Being able to regulate and to be mindful means you then choose another emotion that is going to supersede the one that you are experiencing. So if you are feeling anxious, you may want to choose peace. So what does peace mean for you? Perhaps you will need to breathe in and out. Perhaps you want to listen to some music. Perhaps you want to take a walk. So this is you intentionally overriding that emotion that has overcome you, All because for the better of you and the better of the world. Because in this way, you have self-regulated and now you're practicing mindfulness. And this is positive mindfulness. Because when you start off your day on the right note, guess what? You get positively impacted, and so do the people around you. You're not adding on to the troubles and the struggles of the world. In fact, what you're doing is giving a solution, more like a sunny disposition. Now, does this mean that you have suppressed the other emotion? No, you've just managed it. You need to find your outlet. Now, your outlet could have been in the walk, could have been in listening to the music. It could have been you just meditating it away. Because the minute that you start losing the energy and the attention on this negative feeling and applying that to the positive feeling, guess what? Your emotion will shift. And this is you cultivating mindfulness. And then lastly, we talked about being able to embrace those emotions. So embrace them and then crush them. Embrace and say, yes, I am feeling very anxious today because of 1, 2, 3. Now crush it and say it is not your portion. There's nothing you can do about it. It is beyond your control. So choose the one that is within your control. And that means you're changing the narrative in your mind. That was the art of self-regulation. So that was you self-regulating your emotions. Our next series then was about through others' eyes. And this was more about empathy. It was more about stepping into somebody else's shoes and appreciating what they're going through. We are emotional beings. And at times you start wondering, why am I always understanding what somebody else is going through? When is somebody going to understand me? However, we are asked in St. Francis of Assisi's prayer that we need to seek to understand. It is a better world in that way. And we believe that somebody else also is seeking to understand us. Do good and pay it forward. It works very well on your mental wellness. Yes, we get annoyed, we get anxious, we get scared. But how about just being able to understand what somebody else is going through by seeking to understand? And the ways that we did this, there was active listening. Honestly, listen to somebody. Many a times we listen to respond. We are waiting for you to finish so that I could say something. How about listening to understand? To understand their perspective. It makes you richer for it, because then this is your personal development. The other one was broadening your worldview. We have limiting beliefs and we believe the world is in a certain way or people are a certain way. And we tend as human beings to choose the negative aspect to make an impact in our lives. Unfortunately, it eats away at our souls. So looking at it through other people's eyes and broadening your worldview allows you the opportunity to see the possibilities, the positive possibilities of this situation or this scenario or this person. And the last one was about finding common ground. Finding common ground to understand how can we synergize? How can you be at the same table with me and that we make something good out of it? This life is not a trial. This is it. We don't get a second chance. So why don't we choose to live in a more positive world? Although innately we are biased to think of negativity first. So let the negativity come into your mind, embrace it and crush it and choose something positive. Easier said than done. But if you keep on practicing it and you ask for support from others around you and say something like, guys, if you hear me go off in a negative tangent, please help me to course correct in a loving way. Or give me a sign or a safe word, and then I will know, whoa, I'm going off track. I have tried this a lot, especially with my children, and it works. I know it works because it's something that I have practiced. Today's session is on navigating conflicts. We're going to be looking at navigating conflict, and I'll be giving you at least 3 tools that we can work with. And then last but not least, we finish off this month with harmonious environments. As you already know me by now, My characteristic is a peacemaker, and so I am very averse to conflict, and therefore I prefer to have harmonious environments. I beg your pardon. And that is how I'm finishing off this series of emotional intelligence mastery series. So today is a difficult one for me because I am averse to conflicts. I am that individual who'd rather avoid conflict. And if I do have to face it, these are the 3 tools that I have used to help me manage myself when it comes to conflict situations. So the question to you is, what tools do you use in conflict or during conflict or when conflict arises? Why don't you share with me here on the thread? And I can see we've got Cece, we've got Nancy, we've got Charles, we've got Rosemary here. Please share with me what tools you use during conflict. Maybe for you it's active listening, it's assertive communication, or maybe just like the way I was saying, you're averse to conflict, so you tend to keep quiet and withdraw. And it doesn't help that I am an introvert by nature. So withdrawing and reflecting, going back and overthinking is a natural go-to place for me, a natural setting, until I use my tools to bring me back up to the top. So the question is, what tools do you use in conflict? Share with us here. So let us explore the 3 tools that I've promised you to improve the navigation of conflicts in your interpersonal relationships. And I do hope that this kind of gives you an idea of what works for me. So I look at conflict now. I use this as a tool. I use conflict as an opportunity now. Because I have given it a silver lining, I am more likely to be in a situation where there's conflict. It doesn't help that I am a very compliant human being. So when I go in, I want to know facts. I want to know structure. I want to know governance. I want to know, are we following the rules? I'm that kind of a person. And I can be very annoying when it comes to conflict because I keep on waiting. I ask you a question, and until you've answered it, only then can I move forward. So I don't allow emotions to come into play. Well, Nancy, you say you use avoidance. Same like me. I use avoidance. And I'm just hoping that this particular tool, this first one, thank you very much for sharing, this first one of using conflict as an opportunity will help you to dial down the avoidance. It will not all go all the time. It'll be there with you because this is your natural setting. But being able to dial up the opportunity that comes in a conflict. So think of conflict as not as a skirmish, as a fight that you need to win, but think of it more like a gateway to mutual growth and deeper understanding. This does not happen in one sentence or in one sitting because the other individual is coming in with their own baggage, whether it's emotional, whether it's experiences, whether it's trauma. And this is what is coming to life now. And then you are there receiving it. And they are also receiving all your trauma, your experiences, your fears. Conflict, I beg your pardon, tends to do this to us. But then how about you choose to seek for a gateway of mutual understanding and see where that takes you? You see, interpersonal relation is when 2 or more people share a reciprocal relationship. Reciprocal means we're giving each other, hopefully, the positivity, the good stuff. And if there's any vulnerability, it's a safe space for us to be in. That is what interpersonal relationships are. But it's not always this way because conflict does come in. They will get to a point where we will not be able to come to an agreement. So imagine it as a chance to dive into diverse viewpoints. Don't come in with bias. Look for the opportunity in conflict. Work towards resolutions that benefit everyone involved. At times you've got to know when to fold. And when to fold means when to walk away. At times you've got to do that. Because in retreating and reflection, you can come back. And when you come back, you are with a different energy now. You're not in reactive mode, you are in responding mode. and what has worked for me when I have chosen to see conflict as an opportunity, I come in with facts. And when there are facts on the table, emotions have no place. We are able to ascertain facts. It didn't happen overnight for me, but I knew, especially in my position of leadership, that I had to find a more sustainable way to show up for myself and for the people that I was leading. By approaching conflict with this perspective, you're not just dodging problems, but actively tuning them into chances to fortify bonds. And I have found that the benefit to seeing conflict as an opportunity is meeting new people or rediscovering people that I knew and knowing them under a different light. Because perhaps I had profiled them, that so-and-so is like this, negative, always pessimistic, somebody who does not have a good word to say, always giving you criticism to bring you down and not to empower you. Maybe I profiled you already, but by doing this, by conflict being an opportunity for me and that being a choice for me, I was able to fortify bonds, even build relationships. So the question to you is, what can you learn from this situation? If you're in a conflict situation, what can you learn from this situation, and how can it help you grow stronger together? Maybe it's something you want to ask the person that you're in conflict with. It sounds so weird. We're in the middle of a conflict and then you're asking a question. Hey, tell me, what can you learn from this situation and how can it help us grow stronger? You kind of throw everybody off. But look at the power of that question. So what conflict are you currently experiencing? And what opportunity can you see as a result of this season of conflict? Because this too shall pass. And then how ready are you to take the step? That is the first tool. Looking at conflict as an opportunity. This is what I was nervous about, but it is what I am doing today. There's one thing that I do in connection with that, and that is assertive communication. I have learned how to be very clear in setting my boundaries. Clearly, if you have wronged me, I say it, and I say the areas with which you have wronged me by. If you have done me a solid, I say it, and I say thank you so much. This is how you have impacted my life. And I could be in conflict with you, but I still see the good things that you have brought to the table for me. It's not the end of the world. I could be in conflict with somebody else, and I hope that they would extend that grace of assertive communication. Being able to live in a life where things are clear takes care of the ambiguity. Assertiveness is all about sharing your thoughts and your feelings in a way that's both bold, and that's the word, that's both bold, but at the same time considerate. Where we were talking about creating or crafting mindfulness, it's you understanding that we are all going through different seasons. And therefore, emotional intelligence suggests that although this is how you want things done and you're bold about it, you need to be considerate. Because not everybody is on the same journey or the path or has the same experiences that you have. Maybe somebody's way ahead of you, so this is the time where you are listening and you're just paying attention and you're learning. Or maybe it's your turn to mentor and coach someone. Just ensuring that you don't step on people's toes, that you're able to empower them and grow them. Assertive communication is powerful. I mean, think of it like a tennis game. And if you've never played tennis, perhaps you've watched it. You've watched this game. And if you don't know what it is, well, tennis has a racket. There are usually 2 players at least. You can go up to 4 players. And the aim is to volley this ball over a net that is between you guys. And then there's a clear demarcation of the court. And in that clear demarcation, there's another few lines, again, which demarcate something further, boundaries. And there are rules and regulations. So you do know when to step out or whether the ball goes out, what that means. You do know that when you're serving, what it means when the ball lands in a certain square. Boundaries. So when somebody serves you, the first serve, you receive it. But you receive it depending on how it was served to you. So if it was served in the proper way, it lands in the proper square, I beg your pardon, then you hit it back. Now it is your decision when you're hitting it back because you've received it, because you've already seen what the other person is standing their stance, and you know where this ball is supposed to hit. You have a decision to make there. Where am I going to hit the ball within the boundaries? So rules of the game are clear. This is communication that is taking place. And this is in a game. So in real life, it is important that in assertive communication, you are able to set the boundaries. And maybe you may say to me, but Lucy, it's gone too far. There's no coming back. I've already done this. How do I come back? Today is day one of setting boundaries. It's not going to be easy. In fact, the person who most probably is going to let you down is yourself. Because the minute you start setting boundaries, there are things you're going to have to give up. And the question is, how badly do you want these boundaries to be set? Is that desire stronger than the desire to remain where you are, being walked all over? And that is in conflict. The decision is yours. It's always been your decision. Assertive communication is about hitting that perfect balance between being too forceful and being too meek. There has to be a balance in between, because mindfulness comes in, consideration comes in, because you want to ensure that your voice gets heard while still holding up a flag of respect for others. This is what happens in conflict. Respect needs to remain on the table. That is one pawn that cannot be removed from the table. It should not be removed. Because guess what? After this conflict blows over, because it will, nothing remains permanent. Things always come to pass, hence the saying. How are you going to face this individual or this situation if you were not holding up that flag of respect? I know it sounds tiring, but right now it may come across as literally shouting over the fence, like you're not in the room taking care of the conflict. But on the contrary, it's about knowing what you're about and communicating it in an honorable way. And you may refer to it as the art of assertive communication. Start learning it. In fact, practice it on yourself. Because you get into conflict with yourself. It's as though you're telling yourself one thing, but then your desire is to do something else. Have a conversation and practice the boundaries with yourself first before you take it outside you to practice it elsewhere. So how can we express our needs clearly while still valuing and respecting each other's views? It's such an important question. Because we need to communicate our views clearly. We need to be heard, to be seen, and we need to be ready to receive feedback, good and bad. It's now how you take this feedback. Are you taking it as somebody is singling you out, is being unfair? Or are you using it as room for improvement? Or perhaps something that you're taking under advisement? That brings me to the third tool. The third tool is seeking solutions. Remember, the first one was about looking for the opportunity in conflict, and the second one is about assertive communication. This third one is about seeking solutions. And in the last episode, which is about looking at things through other people's lenses, I encouraged you to look for common ground. And I bring it back here because when it comes to resolving conflicts, the goal is to find solutions that make everyone feel seen and appreciated. You do want to feel seen and appreciated. And this is where finding common ground allows for that to happen. So you're being heard, you're being seen. Maybe you're not being understood, but you're being heard and you're being seen. And this is so key for you to feel like you do have a space at this table where there is conflict. It's about swapping competition for cooperation. So as opposed to competing as to I'm right and you're wrong, it's not about that. It's about the cooperation. How best can we work together, like in a game of tennis? So beautiful when we keep on passing on the ball and it comes back and it goes and it comes back. And the game stops. When there's a shot outside the boundaries, it stops. We stop having this kind of communication. Then suddenly somebody else has to serve. Shifting the aim from clinching a victory in an argument to discovering outcomes that recognize and celebrate everyone's inputs and needs is key. You come out of there feeling better, even if you did not come out with the result that you needed. It is important to note the different scenarios. So in conflicts, you can have a win-win. That's the best one, where we've all agreed and we've come out feeling good. We got what we wanted. Everybody got what they wanted. There's also the win-lose or the lose-win. So one person walks away disgruntled, disheartened. They didn't get what they wanted. There's also agreeing to disagree. I hear what you're saying. I appreciate what you're saying, but I disagree with this journey that we are taking, or this action that we are taking, or this decision. We agree to disagree. But all the time we've got respect on the table. And then there's the one where it's a stalemate. A stalemate. Nobody is listening to the other. We're not talking about hearing, we're talking about listening. Here there is no solution that was met. That if we walk away from a stalemate, knowing that we were able to have respect for one another, then it is worth it. To optimize a negotiation, it would serve you to be well prepared for any of this scenario. Going in with that confidence that you're going to win, you're already tripping up. You want to go in there and learn something new. Yes, putting through your ideas in a firm way, but in a way that is considerate. Where you're not too hard, you're not too meek. You've set out your boundaries. This is a tool that has really worked for me. Am I perfect at it? No. But it is helping me to move on. Common ground and seeking a solution is what the end game should be. So whichever one happens, that honorable respect is on the table. It's important to have it. In fact, you asking how can we work together to find a solution that feels right and rewarding for everyone involved shows the maturity of how you're entering into a situation. At the end of the day, when I have worked with these three tools, I have actually found growth, and I have found appreciation in learning what other people are bringing to the table. I do not rob myself anymore of these opportunities. So the question today was, what tools do you use in conflict? Those are the three tools that I use. And thank you so much, Nancy, for saying that you use avoidance and for being able to contribute today. I do hope that the tools that I have shared will go a long way in helping you to dial down the avoidance. It doesn't go away completely. It's still going to be part of your settings. So this session dived into that art of navigating conflicts. And the three areas that I gave you are key because those are the tools. And so we managed to view conflicts as an opportunity for growth and understanding and mastering the balance between expressing ourselves and valuing the perspective of the other person or the other people. This way we're able to build a stronger relationship. So the three takeaways that I have for you today in navigating conflicts is use conflict as an opportunity, or see it, or choose to see conflict as an opportunity. Easier said than done. But at least try. Start to make that as an intention in your life. Enhance your communications by making them effective, whether it's about listening, whether it's about you preparing. But make sure that in any conflict, if you find you're not prepared, you can ask for time out. Time out, let everybody calm down, and you come back again when you are prepared with the different scenarios in your mind. And then there's a collaborative solutions where we're looking for cooperation, we're not looking for competition. Thank you so much. You say you will try your best. I really appreciate you for doing that. Well, the recording of this episode will be available on our YouTube channel by this evening. Hop on there and subscribe for updates on our session. Tuesday Talks at 3 will be taking a 4-week break in a week's time. So next week we will have the last session, which is harmonious environments. Then after that, Tuesday Talks will take a break for 4 weeks. However, our social media platforms will continue to educate and inspire you. So find us here on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on TikTok, and you will be able to find us as Lucy, your Clarity Coach, or Clarity Coach Lucy, depending on which one you've landed on. A reminder that episode 2 of my podcast, Skillful She Podcast, was launched at the end of the month. And it's still live and available. It provides a platform for insightful conversations. And I am looking for people who can join me in my podcast, and that is in season 2, because right now we are in season 1, episode 2. Each season will have 3 episodes. So the next one is going to go live at the end of this month. Look out for it. But these 2 are already live. So take a moment to have a look. If you don't have the link, drop me a DM and I will send you your personal link. Let us help build one another. Until then, be kind to yourselves. Bye-bye now.